Hey guys, how you doing? It's me, Merrick. Yeah, baby. Okay, so we're here with another video of recent acquisitions. As you can see behind me, I've done a little rearranging. Also, once all the Christmas stuff came down and we got our house back to normal, I made this happen, which I've been reading my entire life. Just as I got into music at a young age, I got into books at a very young age. And I actually started reading Stephen King when I was 10. Yeah. Misery was the first book I read of his. I had an aunt who I was close with, and a family friend who I was close with. An aunt by marriage, and a family friend I was close with. And they were both Stephen King nuts. And back in the 80s, early 90s, there was the Stephen King Book Club. And they were both members, and they both had, which, God, I wish that was still a thing. Don't you? But, so, I actually just recently got about 4. I went around I called bookstores, found places that had them, and then took in, I have about 200 books that I'm getting rid of. About 200 books I'm getting rid of. Anyway, I would take in trade-ins to get these books. The specific thing I'm looking for is Stephen King, hardcover, and original artwork. In most cases it's original, but in a few cases the art was changed early on before the Stephen King Book Club. The Stephen King Book Club is the art I'm looking for, but generally that was the original art. I think one of the only that didn't have original art was The Shining. I think it already gotten a reboot on the art at that point. Because the original Shining looked very 70s cover. My aunt actually has a first edition of that, still sealed. Different aunt, another lady I don't really know. So as a kid, me saying I was close with someone doesn't really mean much. It doesn't have to mean they were in my life for very long at all. It didn't take much at that point. So, all right. But hey, at least on the bright side, we do have other places to go with videos as like a stopgap until my life gets back on track, which if you watched my previous video from 10 minutes ago, you may know what I'm talking about. Well, if you did watch it and you don't know what I'm talking about, then I don't know what to say, because it's not even the writing on the wall, it's what was spoken to you. Anyway, enough with the nonsense, right? Enough of that. I probably still will do this. Okay. I have 7 records today. I would do 5 or 6, but one of them is a 7-inch. You know? Hey guys. Okay, so now I recently saw online the oversized record outer sleeves. Oversized outer sleeves. Stuff you would use for like the smaller box sets or stuff like this, you know? So it's hard, it's thick. So hey, I only needed like 3 or 4 of those and less than 10 7-inch inners and outers. But I may imagine that's me spending like $60 when I only need it for a few records. And I don't, like with 7 inches, it would take me years and years and years to use a full package. So if any of you guys have got a few extra of those hanging around, you know, feel free to throw them in an envelope and send them my way. Because otherwise I don't know if I'll ever have inner and outers for those couple of bigger ones and then my 7 inches. Because, oh, and I ordered a 10-inch record. It'll be here at the end of March. I don't know what to do about that either. I'm so stoked for that one. That's something I never thought I'd be able to get on vinyl, right? And then one day I thought about it. I'm like, oh, hey, this on vinyl. Wonder if it's happened yet. And it had happened. And the sites it had happened on were sold out as F, you know? Another thing, when we come back from this hiatus or whatever it ends up looking like, I will be coming with a new angle at my channel, a more honest angle, and an angle where I don't shy away at all from who I am. It's going to be all out on the table, but those of you that really like me, that's why you like me. And I feel like I could attract a bigger audience of like-minded people if I were just brutally honest about the things I'm very passionate about. And it goes beyond music, but it's encased. Music is a big part of it. Music is a big part of who I am. It was shaped by music and by the artists I listen to and by the lyrics. I'm a writer, so all the reading and writing I've done in my life, it's all been to make, a lot of the art I've done has been to make sense of the world, and that's why a lot of artists make art. It's your process, you processing. So I've already gone on a tangent that's crazy baloney. So maybe we should get started. Okay, first up, right up, we have producer extraordinaire, maestro. It took some time, but I believe that this man is not only my favorite producer, but also my favorite rapper. He is amazing. His skill level is 9 out of 10, and his lyrical content is 12 out of 10. I am referring to one half of Run the Jewels, and that's LP. And this is I'll Sleep When You're Dead. This bird on the cover is actually a replication of a bird that was engraved on one of his toys as a kid. That's kind of cool. Let me get my notes here. I try to bring a little more info than "this album's phenomenal," which is usually about what I bring to the table as far as information. As I said, Brooklyn native. This record was originally released March 20th, 2007. Now, I don't know if this ever got an original vinyl release. I don't think it did. And his catalog is getting issued/reissued right now. When I was looking up some details on this, I saw that CDs are going for $50 on eBay. That would lead me to believe that there wasn't an original vinyl pressing, because that's usually what you see. Like you'll see CDs that cost that much, and it was because there was no, vinyl pressing. And then they were in limited quality because it's not a huge artist, So anyway, LP, I'll Sleep When You're Dead. This is the Vinyl Me Please edition, which I love. You all know my feeling is on Vinyl Me Please. And it has become I am a super fan of theirs. And I know there's some mixed feelings after the rough period they went through. But I don't know if I'll ever unsubscribe to them. I'm not even going to lose my subscription over these next few months. When shit might get a little tight, I'll find a way. This is pressed on a red, kind of a red marbled, but it's real dark. I don't know where it was pressed at. If you want to know where something was pressed at, it's probably not why you're watching my channel. LP's production is very unique. I don't know if he coined the term, but I think it was coined because of him, is a sci-fi hip-hop. I know you guys have heard me use that term before. It's like my favorite stuff. And his production is super noisy. There's a lot going on, a lot to decode. And he attributes that to him growing up and living in New York, a very noisy, loud, energetic city. And his music's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful representation of New York. And then as a songwriter, he's an empathetic, feminist. How would you say it when someone's, a feminist and a righter of wrongs and you know, when you're punching up instead of punching sideways and down, when you're fighting the power, but for not just yourself, but for everyone. Blacks, whites, browns, women, children, gays, everything, all that. That's what I'm super attracted to when we find these people like artists that they don't hit that thing where they're surrounded by sycophants and they never grow up. They actually grow up, they do something positive and powerful with their words, and they put their money where their mouth is. That's what I'm really attracted to. And LP is one of those people. There's a ton of features on this album, but they're not all listed on like the album on the back to sell more copies. Mainly people that he respected and knew. If they're kind of in the area while he's making this record, they might have come on. Okay, and on this album we have the two main members of the Mars Volta, which, I mean, amazing. You guys know how I feel about them. Aesop Rock appears on this album, which probably the most underrated and one of the best rappers alive. The dude is amazing. You need a dictionary and a thesaurus to decode his music, and a philosophical brain. Just knowing the meaning of the words isn't going to do it. You gotta. He's amazing. He is amazing, and his music deals with. It's music, like I mentioned earlier. Artists, when they're looking at the world, and this is how they process the world. It's not art made for the sake of making money. It's not art just for art's sake, which that's fine. But it's actually you processing your world and dealing with the hand you've been dealt and working your way through all of this, whatever it may be for you. Aesop Rock's another one of those guys. His albums are amazing. And then Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross make appearances on this record. Murs, another amazing, rapper in the vein that I like, that's positive, forward-thinking. And Slug, again, another rapper, blah, 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 from Atmosphere. A great hip-hop trio, or duo. I'm not sure. A great album. Super, super noisy. The lyrics, the vocals are a little bit buried, but that's because it's so noisy. And it's not a trait you find in his current music, but he was younger back then, and that may have been something that just, or it was totally intentional, because when they remastered it, they could have brought the vocals up. Whatever. So, just phenomenal record. Super happy with the pressing. I don't know what more I could say. This is such a fat record. It's these damn printed sleeves. They just make it impossible. All right. Sorry. Next up, we have another rap and hip hop record. This man hails from Chicago, Illinois. Okay? This is his rap debut. This is his debut. I don't know why I said rap debut. This record is funny, introspective, quirky, and like conversationalist. Like, when I'm talking with my friend Aaron and we're talking, we don't just like small talk. We don't weather and like, we cut through the bullshit and we're talking about heavy shit regardless of what it is. Whether we're talking about time travel, the manipulation of time, societal constructs, history, philosophy. It's always philosophy, it seems, no matter what we're talking about. We're always going past. It's always metaphysical, right? The things you're having in those conversations, it's like you find this on the record. Yeah, he may not be talking about time travel, but it's like those deeper subjects is what he's rapping about. And again, it's art when you're processing your world, you know. And this was came out in 2010 when this started to become a thing where blacks were learning and realizing with hip hop that there was more to it than just machismo and bravado, and you know, which is something I understand. I actually understand that side of hip hop as much as I can and empathize with it from a, you know, having viewing like the black experience and their history. But so this record is just kind of very unique. It's called the album's called Unapologetic Art Rap. The artist is Open Mike Eagle, and I don't know what else to say about it, but dude is funny and quirky. And these are 45 RPM. Oh yeah, and this has never been pressed, right? And it's a Vinyl Please pressing. And it's still available in the store, which kind of trips me out. One day, the aftermarket on this is going to be like at least $100. And it just happens. It's one of those things that can happen overnight. Like suddenly it's not available, and suddenly everyone realizes that there are no other pressings, and suddenly the worth or the value or perceived value goes up. I think that a lot of people still don't know who this guy is. Isn't that a beautiful color? It's like aquamarine. Hopefully you guys can see it. 45 RPM record. Pow, chimba-chang, chow. It was nice that one isn't a gatefold, and I don't have to pull it all out and mess with that for 20 minutes. All right, next up, we have Prince. I feel for you. Don't you feel for me? I know you do. All right, so Prince, I feel for you. This is the original studio. Twice I've dropped a record, and twice I saved it from horrible things. Prince, beautiful purple marbling, like a lot of us have these Prince records. I feel for you. This is the original studio version, and then also an acoustic Prince only version. But you could have a full band song and it'd be Prince only. Oh my. So I recently discovered Madhouse. Oh my God. How did you guys how did no one mention this? How has no one in the comments or even in a video been like, this is Madhouse? Bro, if you don't know what Madhouse is, Sheena and one of the other girls got Prince into jazz in the early 80s. And he fell in love with jazz and he wanted to make a jazz record. But you think that would have flown? You think that would have flown from the industry and the record company, blah, 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 and the radio, and even people? You think Prince could have made a jazz record and wouldn't get laughed at? And it's not that. I don't think that's what worried him. But so he did it. He made a jazz album. And I guess it's not traditional jazz because, you know, jazz has a spontaneousness to it that this album didn't, because Prince played every instrument himself except for saxophone and the flugelhorn, probably. I think there's one other instrument. It's not flugelhorn, but it's a jazz record. And he made up a band, Madhouse, and they were from a town that doesn't exist. And this is before the internet, so not like we could just Google it up and be like, hey, this town ain't real. What's going on with this? It was a lot easier for artists to do these kind of things back then. And the music is amazing. It's like exactly what you would think. It's Prince making a jazz record. I love it. Oh my God. So I need to get those, but I digress. This went on, we'll just call it pre-order, but this went on sale in like November 2019. the thing with this was, and I didn't know it at the time, I knew it was limited. What does that even mean? I've bought limited records that you're never told the number, and here a year later they're still for sale on the original site. So limited as in what, there's not 50,000? Like, limited is a, I mean, at this point it's an advertising term. But with this record, it was limited in a way that it was on sale for 1 week only. And however many people ordered it in that 1 week, that's how many they were going to press. And that's it. So yeah. I don't normally buy 7 inches and 45s. I'm not a big fan of throwing on a record for one song. But I have realized that the sound quality on my Dive, my Nirvana Dive 7 inches, amazing. And I don't want to just, start collecting 45s. Yeah, I'm very picky about what goes into my collection, but I'm not opposed to it. So I'm very happy I got this. I'm becoming quite the fanatic. Like, I love Prince, and I've been a fan of his my whole life. I just didn't know it. And especially in my formative years, I became so jaded and cynical. I hated any music that sounded happy or, could make you happy. I wanted to wallow. All right. So, very happy that I have that. And my wife is a Prince super fan. She's actually seen him in concert twice as a kid. Super happy. Okay. I don't have a lot to say about this next one, but I do. But not really. It's Grail time. And Grail in the form of bootleg, because Marilyn Manson records, why has there never been a repress? Why aren't you repressing? Like, hasn't at least an industry guy been like, hey, we need to repress these. People want them. Any chance to make money, it seems like the record industry jumps at, right? That's why we're all paying $100 for a fucking Tool CD. I'm so mad about that. I think all we did in the release of Fear Inoculum is show the industry that we'd pay $80 for a CD. Why would we want them to think that or to know that? Anyway, boy, I'm just a critic today. Rah. The cynic returns. Okay. Anyway, Marilyn Manson, Hollywood. This is from Roland Records, and as much as I hate to say it, the sound quality isn't the best. Seems to be a trend with Manson records from this site, and I'll still buy the other 3 that I have that I need. Mechanical Animals should hit the site in a month, and I don't know how I'm going to afford that with what's going on, and that really sucks. Because that might be the last time, because he said they're just trying to get rid of those last ones, and then down the road we should see Portrait of American Family and Smells Like Children. And I'll buy them all as bootlegs. I don't want to miss the opportunity. I may. And I'm doing that knowing the sound quality it's not the greatest. But they're very important albums to me, and just to have them. Streaming leaves so much to be desired. When I stream something, like, I could stream something I want to hear, but it's like, I need the record. Because I hardly stream music. When I come to listen to music, I want to put on a record that I own. Streaming, it leaves so much out. I don't know how, but anyway. This was originally released in November 11th of 2000. It's funny, when I was looking it up, it said it's the 4th studio album. Now, if that were the case, let me think. Portrait of American Family. See, Portrait is his first studio album, I would say. It's not an EP. It's not Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids. It was Marilyn Manson, Portrait of American Family. It was a full-length album. It may not have been major label, okay? Smells Like Children, the next one, was a full-length record. A lot of remixes, but not remixes of what was on the first album. Just a very industrial-ish, very industrial record. But I wouldn't call it an EP, and I wouldn't call it a non-album, right? Then Antichrist Superstar, and then Mechanical Animals, and then this. So this would be the fifth, right? Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I guess one of those doesn't count. Whatever. This album, while it's amazing, it's a great Manson album. It's the last Manson album that I was a fan of. And I don't like it anywhere near as much as anything before this, because I'll tell you, Portrait, Antichrist, and Mechanical Animals are like some of my top albums. Yeah. I have a Prince song stuck in my head. Boom, boom. All right, anyway, next up is a record I bought for my daughter. And I didn't fall in love with this. I don't love it like the way I love Billie Eilish or Demon Days. Other records I bought for my daughters. But I remember when we used to put the aux cord on in the truck and I'd let the girls pick songs, they used to play stuff from this record. And we were at the store buying stuff for one of my daughter's birthdays. And for our girls, when it's a birthday for one of them, the other one gets a gift. Not like as much as the other daughter got. It's their birthday, but they get something so they don't feel left out. And when I saw this, me and my wife knew it was what to get. And this is Melanie Martinez, Crybaby. This is an album for teenage girls. Yeah. It's got some infectious grooves. It has got some awesome, like really catchy earworms. The lyrical content, when the girls used to listen to it in the truck, and they were, this was a few years ago, they're even younger, and she drops a couple cuss words, but like, it was good music, and the lyrics aren't glamorizing sexuality. She's not feeding into the industry tropes that a lot of women in the past in the industry have had to kind of go by. Women have had all these unwritten rules they had to follow if they wanted to make it in this industry. In this song, this album, it's like a theme album. This character, Crybaby, is based on her because she's very emotional. She's always worn her heart on her sleeve, and she got picked on and bullied in school because she was a little crybaby. But then you get into the second song called Dollhouse, and that's about Crybaby's home life, which isn't a good home life. And this really sets up how broken people don't generally have normal lives. How should you? If you build a house with a solid foundation, like on rock, but if you build a house on mud, those houses aren't going to have the same ending. They're not going to have the same arc. They're not, I believe in a sliding scale. But a lot of people who have never been through trauma or basically never been through trauma, that left their life kind of untainted. A lot of those people don't, it's like childhood trauma is a big reason people get into drugs and have lifelong problems. But it's a lot of people have a hard time understanding that or accepting that if they haven't had traumas. What I like about her is she actually had a good childhood home and really, really good parents who encouraged her and didn't have affairs and drink themselves to death and shit. But Dollhouse is about a family that is such. Family experiences that I've had, in my many families could relate to Dollhouse. Sippy Cup is just about a drunk mom, Carousel's about a pointless, repetitive relationship where you're not actually going anywhere. And I'm not going to go through every single song. The music, again, this is a record for teenage girls. A 38-year-old shouldn't be talking about how much they love it. And it's good. It's a good record. I'm not infatuated with it. But I'm not going to come on here and trash it, because I don't trash any music anymore. Unless it's music made in the wrong spirit, like it's made strictly to make money, or they're exploiting or jumping on a bandwagon or whatever. But if it's a legitimate expression, I'm not going to bash it. Yeah. So anyway, the production on this thing is kind of crazy though. The production has a circus music and like a circus music vibe. Right? Circus music meets electronica meets pop. And the lyrics and the melodies have like a lullaby or nursery rhyme quality, which goes with the motif that we have here. Just very fucking cool. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna. This video is already running long, right? So I won't show you. There's a storybook in here that thematically kind of goes with the album that Melanie Martinez wrote the lyrics to, and had an artist draw, and it's in that art style, and it's just cool. Like it's kind of like, it's just cool when you get extra stuff that helps you understand the art. All right. Sorry, this is just going forever. Okay. Originally released March 8th, 1994. This is technically the third studio LP from Nine Inch Nails frontman and only man, basically, Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails. This is the 2017 definitive edition, which was mastered by Trent and Atticus to more line up with Trent's original, what he wanted. When I first heard Closer and first saw the video, I think I probably first heard it by seeing the video back in MTV's heyday. And I still hadn't found who I was, and I was still just really, really just a kid. And this video and this record disgusted me. Like, I thought there was something seriously wrong with this dude, and I just thought he was gross and sick. And then probably 2 months later, I owned it. It's like a switch, when you hit that age and you just suddenly, things are changing. Oh, dope. Dope! So just like Broken came with like a book that's actually a long article, this Downward Spiral came with one too. An article that was probably from Spin or Rolling Stone. And I hadn't even seen that. I thought it was a lyric book. Anyway, even though, yeah, the lyrics are right there. Just like the CD book, they look the font. Anyway, this album meant a lot to me when I bought it when I was 14. And when I first put it on, I thought the vocals were kind of buried, and I wasn't a fan. Until, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see it. No, you're not going to be able to see it. But I recently upgraded my cartridge to Artiphon Red. Didn't have the money for the blue, but it did make a world of difference. Especially on a couple albums that didn't sound great. They still don't sound great. But this one sounds amazing. It did just that little bit of distinction and dynamics and separation that you get from the Artiphon was enough to bring some albums to sounding at least tolerable, and to really show me how this version of this album shines. It's very good. It's very noisy and loud. I mean, it's very much like what the record was for me when I first heard it. But maybe those buried vocals were something he never got. They're just buried a little, but like I often say at the time, I don't think producers knew how to produce Nirvana. Maybe that was the same with Trent. They didn't know how to do it. You know, they didn't know how to see eye to eye with the artist would want, and a lot of what had been the industry standard came out in this, because the vocals were definitely more out in front in previous masters. Okay, last but not least, I'm kind of glad we're wrapping it up, because when I start to go long, I start to get anxious that no one's really watching anymore. Okay, this is Alexandra Savior. This is The Archer. This is this girl's second studio album. She's 24 years old, and she's from Portland, Oregon. The vocals have been described as Dusty Springfield meets Nancy Sinatra. And the album has a 1960s B-movie inspired love stories. I've heard her voice, and not necessarily the production, maybe her singing similar to Lana Del Rey, but I would say it's a sultry, psychedelic Lana Del Rey. This album's amazing. I'd never even heard of her. And just for whatever reason, when the album came out, it was around the same time Poppy came out. I just saw it on my new releases on Spotify, which says it's lucky because you only get like between 5 and 8 releases every week, when every week there are, I mean, literally every Friday, thousands of albums come out. And then we're not even thinking about like, well, yeah, thousands probably covers it. I mean, every year, at this point, what are millions of albums written? At least millions and millions of songs are. I mean, we have 8 billion people in this world, and the output in every industry is huge. That's why when people are like, music these days is shit, they just sound ignorant as fuck, because, out of the million fucking songs that came out this year, they're all shit? Because you heard a million of them? No, they're going off of a few songs that they heard in a few genres. And it's really, really sad when you see people unable to step away from the music of their formative years. And you do see it a lot. But it's like that with it's not just the music, it's your worldview, a lot of people. And right now we seem to be in kind of a culture war. And a lot of it's just with people who refuse to let go of their worldview, or refuse to accept that they can't control the world, and that clashes with their worldview or what they'd like the world to look like. Which is disgusting. But anyway, okay, Alexandra Savior, The Archer. I think I said enough. I mean, this thing is fucking amazing. Yeah, 60s B-movie inspired love songs. It sounds very psychedelic, but sultry, mellow, melancholy love songs. I recommend, please, if nothing else from this video, you stream this record. I'd say Crying All the Time, Howl, and Send Her Back. Well, the whole album. And it's like half an hour long. What do you have to lose? Half an hour. Do it! This came on peach marbled vinyl. This is actually the only pressing. There's no black pressing. I don't think with an indie artist, a lot of times there's no need to press it like it's a Britney Spears album. Oh! I'll tell you what. I watched a Taylor Swift documentary on Netflix. I have so much respect for that woman now. I've been, a tiny fan. I've enjoyed her most of her career. I used to like country a lot. My first wife, horrible person, liked country. She didn't like Taylor Swift, because she's a woman and she's a woman hater. Not Taylor. But that documentary changed how I look at that woman. And then I listened to some stuff of 1984, and I listened to Lover, and knowing that she's in the studio writing every one of her songs on a guitar or piano, and then working with the producer to bring it into pop song existence. She defied her team because she stood strong next to her morals. I have so much respect for her. And then I will say there's this movie a show on Amazon called Undone that's dealing with mental illness and depression and childhood trauma and loss. But then it's also moving into schizophrenia and time travel and non-linear timelines. One of those shows that all of a sudden I'm seeing on screen stuff that I've been talking about with my closest friends for over 20 years. And when you see it come to life, it just made me feel so good and so hopeful, and just, it's an amazing piece of art. It's a show that's filmed and then probably either digitally or like with Waking Life back in the day, it was filmed on film and then watercolored over the actual cells. This looks similar to that. So it's like filmed, but then it also looks like animation. If you're looking for a new show, Undone on Amazon Prime is mind-blowing. I watched the whole show yesterday. Discovered it Saturday night, started it Sunday morning, watched the whole thing. All right, so that's it. I think I succeeded in going way over 15 minutes. Hope you guys are happy with that. Hey, keep tuning in. Please, please, please drop a comment. Talk to me about these records. Tell me I'm stupid. Tell me I'm right. Tell me you listened to that record I just told you to listen to. Tell me you loved it. You get it. I got it. You got it. We're good. CVC.